You probably know what midi-chlorians are, right? But do they actually limit your force potential or something? How could Obi-Wan Kenobi, for example, defeat the Chosen One himself in a fight? One word: try hard. So some people have big problems with midi-chlorians because they ruin the force or something. I don't get it though. I mean, imagine if everybody would be the same. Imagine if Disney fans would have the same intelligence as Legends enjoyers. That would mean that anybody can just achieve whatever they want if they tried hard enough. That's sadly not the truth. So basically midi-chlorians are the organelles in every cell of every organism. So they aren't just the stuff that force users use to use the force, but they are a lot more than that. They are the life itself. Have you ever asked yourself, what is life? Well, now you know, it's the thing that midi-chlorians cause. Because without them, the life couldn't exist. Which does kinda confirm that force ghosts aren't alive, as they don't have cells or midi-chlorians, and Luke is just having schizophrenia, but whatever. So not just that midi-chlorians are alive, but they make other stuff alive. So does it mean that if you have more midi-chlorians, you are more alive? Who knows? They are symbiotes that live in every cell. I would say if I would be an average Star Wars YouTuber. People just take for granted things that Qui-Gon told Anakin, but Sith have a different approach to the midi-chlorians. Darth Plagueis, for example, had a different opinion about the midi-chlorians, and honestly, he's a better source about that because he literally dedicated his life to studying them. Here's a quote from Darth Plagueis' novel. The Jedi thought of the cellular organelles as symbiotes, but to Plagueis, the midi-chlorians were interlopers running interference for the Force and standing in the way of the ability to contact the Force directly. So we do kinda know the definition of midi-chlorians. They are something in cells, symbiotes perhaps, that allow you to connect to the Force, but it's not the lack of information about them that makes definition so shaky, but even Jedi and Sith disagree about what they are. So how could we know exactly what they are? Okay, now let's talk how some individuals can use midi-chlorians to connect with the Force. It's a common misconception, I think, that midi-chlorians are the Force itself or something, but this is incorrect. Midi-chlorians are kinda just a thing between an individual and the Force. They allow you to connect with the Force and feel it. They're not the Force itself or anything like that. Now, does that mean that if we know which Jedi, for example, has bigger midi-chlorian count, we can know which would win in a fight? Nope. Not at all. There are so many other factors that you should also consider. It's like saying that someone would solve math problem faster because they have an IQ of 130 and you have an IQ of 128. It doesn't work like that. Arguably, the best example of that would be, of course, the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Obi-Wan wasn't exactly known for being extremely strong in the Force, but he defeated Anakin. It's because he trained for longer than Anakin. He had more time to connect with the Force. He also had really good technique and was thinking straight. Of course, he had the high ground and everything, but this is just an example. Now, don't take this the wrong way. Obi-Wan was extremely gifted. I don't think people really understand this. Obi-Wan had a low connection to the Force in comparison to Master Yoda and Anakin, but he was still one of the strongest and most gifted Jedi of his time. I just wanted to explain this because I think that many people are like, oh, Obi-Wan is the weakest Jedi ever or something. Now, that doesn't mean that midi-chlorians don't matter. If you have, let's say, 2500 midi-chlorians per cell, you'll never feel the Force or lift anything or whatever. So it definitely is something of an accurate representation of someone's force power, but it doesn't directly correspond to force potential. For example, it is possible to increase your midi-chlorian count, not throughout transfusion of midi-chlorian rich blood or something, which by the way does not work, but throughout months of meditation it is possible to increase your midi-chlorian count. So you can kinda increase your force potential, but just to some extent. So force potential may not be directly connected to midi-chlorian count, as you can manipulate your midi-chlorian count. Although Jedi usually made blood analysis to see the potential in the force of a certain being, Sith usually relied on their instincts. Even Force users that knew a lot about Midi-chlorians and were studying them didn't always rely on analyzers of blood, just their instincts. So there was something more to it. Your characteristics also affected how efficiently you can use the Force. After meditation, for example, your Force connection strengthens, which means that even if your Midi-chlorian count is the same, your connection to the Force strengthens. And on some planets, light or dark side of the Force can be stronger than on other planets. So this is what I think. The Midi-chlorian count may represent a Force potential, but it doesn't represent your current power in Force. For example, just because Anakin had over 20,000 Midi-chlorians per cell, that doesn't mean that he is stronger in the Force than anybody. It simply means that he can become stronger than everybody with training. And let's not forget that Midi-chlorian count can change, and it seems that it grows more than you use the Force and meditate, like your muscles grow if you use them a lot. So to conclude, it seems the Midi-chlorian count is like your genes basically. It's how gifted you are in something, but you can increase your potential by training just as you can develop your muscles. You can also learn to communicate with Midi-chlorians more effectively, and this is basically what meditation does. Okay, I know this is kinda confusing, but it's because I think that the Midi-chlorian count isn't really an accurate representation of someone's Force potential, you know, and there are definitely other factors to consider. But yeah, Midi-chlorian count definitely does matter, but it's not everything, because you can increase it with meditation and because you need to work on your connection to the Force. Okay guys, this is gonna be enough. From now on I'm gonna make scripts, because otherwise I just say random weird stuff and it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, I hope it kinda makes sense. Okay, you can comment if you have any...
Why am I so bad at this?